and welcome back to another episode of Pro Dignity No Doubt. My name is Nicole Smith. I'm your hostess for today, and I'm excited to welcome you to season 2 of our podcast. It's been a while, it's been a wild ride, but this season you'll notice a shift in how we present our content. If you joined us for season 1, you'll remember that each episode featured an interview with someone sharing their own personal story. And for season 2, we're going to change things up a little bit. It's going to be primarily me here with you in a style that might feel a bit more scripted at times rather than the authentic, free-flowing format of the storytelling aspect of season 1. But really, this is kind of by design. In this season of the podcast, our hope is to lean into the lessons we can gain from stories so that you, as the listener, can come away with actionable items to live in your own life, because we still plan to use stories from the present, history, culture at large, to explore themes within different aspects of our culture, how we perceive human value, and even how that perception impacts our daily lives. So with that being said, we're not leaving interviews behind entirely. From time to time, we'll be bringing in stories of courage to remind us of the truth that we cannot hear enough. Somebody that's gone through her own journey of struggle, we really need to hear this theme more often, which is we are not alone in our struggle. And if you remember back in season 1, we heard incredible testimonies from people who overcame immense challenges, whether they were raised in the sex industry, conceived in rape, enslaved in work camps, faced life-altering disability. All of these stories were shared with a common realization that their pain brought them to a deeper understanding of their purpose as a person. And from that purpose, they discovered a joy that wasn't fleeting or tied to their circumstances, but rooted in something that was eternal. These stories remind us of a foundational truth that we were members of the Christian faith, but even if you're outside the Christian faith, we have value as people. And as a Christian, I understand we are made in the holy image of our Heavenly Father. In that divine image is the source of our value. Our worth is not determined by how we look, what we do, or any metric the world tries to impose on us. It comes from we are the children of God. And today, I want to dive in deeper to a personal topic. It's deeply personal for me. It's under this theme of expectations, the death of joy. This is actually a saying that sort of coined in the midst of some deep personal struggles that I'll explore here in a minute, because I sat and reflected on this concept a lot. My expectations in life were the death of my joy in life. And so just before I dive into my personal story, I just really want to kind of cover the experiences that we have within Western culture. So if you are in Western culture, you know that we're taught from a very young age that avoiding pain is one of life's primary goals. So we essentially have this idea that we can success ourselves out of struggle. And if suffering does come, that we're told it is our job to eliminate it at all cost, whether through decisions, hard work, or even shortcuts. But here's the problem though. Pain's going to find us anyway. It's an inevitable reality of life for everyone. So no matter how much we try to avoid it, life inevitably brings a struggle. We all know it, and it kind of catches us by surprise, because when it does, we often feel blindsided, unprepared, even betrayed by this reality that because we accepted this lie from we were fed as a child. And there's a powerful quote that I'm often reminded of from the book Live Not by Lies. Rod Deer, I think is his last name. And he kind of speaks directly to this. So, quote, if we accept the great lie of our therapeutic culture, which tells us that personal happiness is the greatest good of all, then we will surrender at the first sign of trouble. So essentially, our culture is telling us that happiness is the ultimate goal, defined as self-centeredness, personal comfort, the absence of suffering. But it is a lie. And when we cling to this lie, we are robbing ourselves of something far greater. And it's the opportunity for growth, the opportunity for purpose, and ultimately the opportunity for a deep, abiding joy. And essentially, this brings us to the heart of that topic today again, how expectations, especially the belief that life is supposed to go a certain way, can rob us of the joy that we deserve along the way. So essentially, this is where I'm going to try to tie in my own journey with expectations and how I come to see them as the greatest barrier to joy in life. So like many people, I'd had what I thought was reasonable expectations for my life. And, just there's a lot of expectations and aspects of a person's life. For me, specifically to my journey from motherhood, this expectation was that I assumed that if I could have one child, which I did have one child, that I be able to have another one easily. But the reality was, after I gave birth to my first daughter, I was met with unexpected challenges. I had very significant health struggles that put me into a state of secondary infertility. And in pursuit of those solutions, I essentially would be put into a new season after that, a season of miscarriages. I was told repeatedly during that season that I should just be grateful because other people couldn't have children at all, and I at least had one child, so I should be grateful. But those words were not a source of ease for my grief, because each month, these people didn't understand that I did not get pregnant. I felt as though I was mourning two losses: the loss of the child I could not conceive, or eventually I would lose in that season of miscarriages, and the experiences I was missing with the one child I already had because I was so consumed by the pain of longing for another child. And when I finally carried a pregnancy to term, I had what I felt was like another reasonable expectation, which is that this baby would be born healthy. Reasonable expectations. It sounds like it's very reasonable. But my second daughter, Cosette, sustained a brain injury during the birthing process. And so, reasonable expectation that was not met. And in those early days, I spent countless hours rocking this child, overwhelmed by what her condition might mean for her life and, selfishly, for mine. She's since been diagnosed, it's been 5 years now, but she's since been diagnosed with cerebral palsy. And that diagnosis came with a lot of reflection. It came with a lot of pain because there's a lot of aspects to my journey with her that was just so profoundly challenging. And so I found myself wrestling with this same question over and over again. Why isn't life going the way I had expected it to? Why were so many obstacles thrown my way to just reasonable aspects of, hopes, right, for my own life? So the truth is, if I had clung to this cultural belief that we must eliminate all sources of pain, I might have missed the deeper purpose hidden in these challenges. Honestly, I could have just thrown her life away because, could have just let her die on the table that day. But even deeper, like a hidden purpose for myself, despite, the true throwing away of life, I could have missed something even deeper. So, because I realized that through this time of reflection that my unmet expectations weren't just a source of pain. They were actively robbing me of joy throughout every aspect of this life journey. But this time, rather than the journey with secondary infertility early on, I chose a different path. Instead of letting my unmet expectation dictate my emotions, I leaned into what I would call opportunities for healing. These were moments when tears would well up unexpectedly, when I caught myself comparing my daughter's experiences, my oldest, my youngest, or when I lamented the life I had imagined for myself, because we all have dreams, aspirations, and things just weren't going my way. So rather than push those feelings away, I chose to sit with them. I chose to examine them. Like I always kind of would visualize I was putting it in my hand and turning it around in my hand and examining it, and then praying over them. One opportunity at a time, I began to find healing, peace, purpose, and most importantly, joy. When I gave birth to my oldest daughter, I became a mother. And it's a calling that I've always treasured, I still treasure. But when I gave birth to Cosette, I not only became a mother again, I became an advocate, not just for her, but all children like her, for parents navigating similar circumstances, for even siblings. As I watched my oldest daughter go through challenges of her own with having a sibling that had different needs. So essentially, this experience that I had in life, it has this tied to that broader reflection on our culture. We live in a society obsessed with this avoidance of pain at all costs. But in doing so, we essentially often lose something deeper, our purpose. True joy isn't just found in running from pain, it's found in embracing it, letting it refine us. The discovery, the purpose it reveals, that purpose in turn brings growth, and growth brings joy. And so the Bible verse Isaiah 41:10 reminds us that, quote, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand." So if you are at the crossroads of your life, facing circumstances that don't align with your expectations, I really just want to encourage you to lean into that pain. The core of that lies an opportunity for growth, purpose, and truly joy. I can say without a shadow of a doubt, my journey with my daughter, Cosette, the journey of struggle made my experience as a mother, as an advocate, as a individual that's worked in human rights for well over a decade, going into 13 years now, and that side of my career, it's made it deeper. It's been giving me more growth and purpose and essentially joy, because every little moment of victory, as small and tiny, as insignificant as it would be for someone else, when I watch my child surmount those obstacles, I just feel a resounding joy. And I also am reminded of this, just one more aspect to my journey with my youngest daughter. So when I was at the height of the struggle, this reflection, when she was really young and just kind of trying to come to terms with the reality of the life that we were being kind of pushed into, I actually made like a playlist with a bunch of music that I called our Fight playlist. And it was full of all these songs that just sort of allowed me to create those opportunities for healing more often, because it's not just allowing them to come to you, you want to create them for yourself. And so I made this long list of songs that I'd come across that allowed me to grieve different aspects of the reality we're in. And one of them was this idea that my two children, society would say one is more privileged than the other because one doesn't have to struggle, and one by mere existence struggles every day of her life. She's in pain, she's struggling, she's just to do basic things. And so culture says the oldest is more valuable and a life that you would aspire to, and the other one isn't. So there's a song by Andy Grammer. It's called "I Wish You Pain." And it's essentially this song that he wrote to almost say like a blessing of pain over his children, because in pain, you find purpose, a deeper calling. And it was such a weird concept to sit and contemplate on this, because I had these two circumstances, one that seemed desirable, one that seemed undesirable. And the odd thing was, as I saw my youngest daughter as the privileged one, because she had an intimate relationship with pain that I would have to falsify for my oldest daughter. And here, then it was sort of like the concept was flipped on its head, in which my oldest, that was seen by culture as the privileged one, is now the non-privileged one. And where I was praying pain and suffering over my oldest so that she could have a deeper understanding of what her purpose is. It's such a transformative experience for me as a parent, because, obviously we don't want our kids to have pain. We don't want them to struggle, but ultimately we want our kids, ourselves, to have purpose, because aren't we all searching for purpose, right? In life, like every day we wake up and we're just like, why am I here? Why am I existing? Why did God place me here? Or if you don't believe in God, why did nature placed me here, right? So for what purpose do we serve and being here? And so it was just something that even I started to place on myself as well. And so with that revelation as well, I'd like you to know that, again, if you're at the crossroads in your life facing circumstance that don't align with your expectations, I want you to lean into that pain, allow yourselves to have opportunities for healing, because that will bring growth, and don't run away from it. Fight against that cultural lie that we're fed. And so I think that's it for this episode. I just wanted to thank you for joining me for this deeply personal conversation. And I hope it encourages you to reflect on your expectations and consider how you can embrace the challenges in your life. And that if this episode resonates with you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend or leave a review. Be sure to join me next time as we explore another topic around culture, human value, human experiences. Until then, remember, true joy doesn't come from avoiding pain, but finding purpose in the midst of it. Thanks a lot, guys.